Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey and this is the Porsche 911 of economy cars. This is the 2023 Kia Soul, and in this video I'm going to take you on a quick tour, tell you who I think it really competes against, and explain that whole Porsche 911 thing. Stay tuned. Before we get too far into this one, I do want to thank Kia for delivering this vehicle to us to test for you for a full week here on the channel. But before we get into all of the design of this one, let's talk about what is under the hood. So yes, this is a 2023 model, but underneath the hood here, we get a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, naturally aspirated, making 147 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to an intelligent variable transmission, i.e. a continuously variable transmission, and it is a front-wheel drive vehicle. All that means this really competes against something like a Nissan Kicks or the new Chevy Trax, which if y'all follow the channel for any length of time, y'all know I really like. In the realm of the Chevy Trax, this makes 10 more horsepower and 30 less pound-feet of torque, but is as equally fuel efficient as that smaller Trax's 1.2-liter 3-cylinder. And we'll go ahead and talk fuel economy. 28 city, 33 highway, 30 combined, which I believe is only 1 mpg highway better than that smaller engine in that Chevy Trax. Closing the hood, yes, we're going to talk about styling, and styling is why I bring up the Porsche 911, because the Kia Soul is a very iconic vehicle in its style and design, and much like the Porsche 911, they really can't veer too far from it. If you see one of these on the road, you know exactly what it is, no matter what year or what generation. There are certain things that just are Kia Soul's essence, and that is this boxy shape, this big grille, and the overall proportions of it. If you would put this next to any other year model, you would see subtle changes over time, but just seeing one drive down the road, you know exactly what it is. Same is true of the iconic design of the Porsche 911 Carrera. You know exactly what it is, but put any two side by side, and there are going to be just subtle differences. For 2023, we do have subtle differences here, but I'm just going to talk about overall styling. Big boxy lower grille on this. So the first generation had a small and cute upper grille that has slowly morphed and shrunk into what you see here with that Kia badge in between the headlights. Really isn't even a grille, it's just kind of a display spot. And now the grille has migrated down and we get this big, large, bold grille down below, but you can tell most of it isn't even open. So we've got this closed off for the bumper, we've got that for our radar adaptive cruise control. So really we just have that small portion here and a couple spots on either side, but it does enough to get air into that little 2-liter 4-cylinder, and still creates quite the style and presence on the road, especially here painted in our Neptune blue. Yeah, Neptune blue. You can see we get LED headlights, running lights, turn signals, fog lights. Very nice look up front. It is a very classy vehicle that has definitely gone upscale over the years. But as I come through here, I'm going to show you this upper grille really starts in the headlight housing and goes all the way across. It's just a nice, cool geometric pattern that goes all the way across. It isn't actually a grille anymore. As we come around to the side, you see that iconic shape that the Kia Soul is known for. It has not veered too far from this. It's grown a little bit over the years, but generally has kept the same overall feel and funkiness. Whimsical, I believe, is the word of the day when it comes to describing the design of this Kia Soul. It is very whimsical. Coming down here, we do have the GT line. So we get these GT line 18-inch wheels there, 235/45 Hankook Ventus S1 Noble squared tires. So yeah, that's very good marketing there. But they are wrapped around these GT line specific wheels. Nice look. From the other side of the vehicle, it definitely looks like they're already spinning, even when they are sitting still here. You can see here we have some interesting sculpting lines. This isn't just a slab-sided vehicle, so I'll go ahead and point out a few of them. Just over the wheel arches here, we've got the way the light plays here, just on this dimple here. We've got this style line that kind of disappears into the driver's door. We've got that lower style line, and then over the rear wheel, we've got that as well. We also have a floating roof design with this small little back window back here and this black plastic. You can get an alternate color roof on certain models, certain trims. All of it works in conjunction with other for a nice, fun, whimsical design. We do get a very short overhang over the back tire here. It is very interesting just how little overhang we have back there. And then being a front wheel drive vehicle, we do have quite a bit over the front. Our friends over at Texas Truck Channel did point out Kia likes to call this an SUV, so they did their normal SUV thing and took it on their off-road hill test, and they discovered the hidden R mode. So absolutely go over to Texas Truck Channel and see them test this exact one on their hill test and discover that hidden R mode for increased off-roadability here on this cute, whimsical SUV, if you want to call it that. Coming back to the back, this is perhaps one of the biggest areas of update here recently. The taillights are LED, even though the turn signals are incandescent. I really like the look of them. They are fun. They're kind of aggressive, the taillights, that is, with that outline and how they kind of dip back into the hatch there. And then we get this floating panel of body color. Really serves no purpose other than just some visual distinction. You would think that this whole thing, all the black, is window, but it is not. It stops right there above that blue panel. Looking at the Kia Soul badge, I was behind one on the way over here. I kid you not, these things are everywhere. For 2023, the entire Kia lineup has gone to this corporate look for the badging of all their vehicles. So no more whimsical, curvy S Soul badge. You get this corporate looking Soul badge. And then again, ours being the GT line, we get the GT line badge and the HDMI exhaust port down below here. So you can see it is a dual exit exhaust, but it looks very much like an HDMI port. But all the way around, it looks like a fun, aggressive look. It definitely fits in the GT line family of vehicles, even if it doesn't get any more power or anything more aggressive in that regard. We have a manually opening hatch, no power hatch back here, much like the Chevy Trax, and much like the Chevy Trax front-wheel drive. But yes, that's where some of the similarities stop, because we have a slightly small-ish overall footprint back here in the back. Kia makes up for it in its overall cubey design, and because it's so rectangular, square, however you want to classify it, you actually get quite a bit of space back here, even with this short overall length. So with the back seat up, we get 23.4 cubic feet of space compared to the Chevy Trax's 25.6. With the rear seats folded down, this is absolutely where the Kia Soul's boxy size wins out. You get an astonishing 62.1 cubic feet to the Chevy Trax's 54.1. There are lots of ways to configure this back here. We get this hard parcel shelf that does kind of fold and tilt and tumble out of the way. So you can just kind of lift it up if you've got tall items and flip and fold it so peering eyes cannot see in. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out all of my stuff here, set it on the wet ground. Yes, it's fall, so that means it's been raining. No, I have not been towing with this, if you're wondering. Just fun little peripherals like come along with me for the ride. But you can see we have a false load floor here. We do have a temporary spare tire and all the necessary tools for changing a flat tire. But what's very interesting, much with many other Kias, you can drop this down for additional height, which is actually quite impressive. That's about 4 or 5 inches of additional height. That gives you just more space back here. Now, we did go grocery shopping for the Thanksgiving holiday, and we actually dropped this down, not because we needed more vertical height, but because this did a better job of containing all of our groceries. In its upper height, it would be very easy for stuff to roll out, but now with it being recessed, it contained everything more. If you wanted to make the most of the 62 plus cubic feet of space with the rear seat folded, let's see if I can do it from back here. You can see you would want it in its uppermost position so that it would be flush with the backs of the seats when they are folded. So just an interesting note there that you do have options and flexibility here in the back of the Kia Soul. I'm going to go ahead and put all my stuff back there. And then, yes, it is a manually opening hatch. I'm 5'10", so just about 6 feet of clearance right here. And it is very quick to open and very easy and light to close. Before we hop inside this one, I did want to show you the key. Typical Kia detonator style key. It isn't getting the newer key like we've seen in the Telluride and EV9, but typical Kia key. You have lock, which I like, lock, unlock, and a panic button, as well as remote start. You can deploy a physical key from here, but you don't have to. You can keep it in your pocket and just walk up to the vehicle. The front 2 doors have this button right here that allows you to lock and unlock the vehicle, and it opens, at least how we have it programmed right now, all the doors, or unlocks all the doors every time you press it. So just something to note there. Before we hop inside, I did want to show you the door panels because, again, lots of whimsy with this vehicle. This being the GT line model, red is typically the sporty color of choice, so you get a lot of red accent in here. And I really like just the material and the texture here. We do get your window controls expressed down but not up on the drivers, nowhere else on this one. And then you get some red accents around various different areas inside the vehicle. We do have the optional Harman Kardon 10-speaker sound system, and I will go ahead and show you that option package also gives us a power seat with two-way lumbar. Speaking of seats, these are SynTex, synthetic leather and cloth. So we've got this cloth insert, but they are heated. I also want to point out right here, it says Soul in that new Soul text right here on both of the front seats. I'm very surprised at just how aggressively bolstered these are. You can kind of tell just from looking at them, but they really do feel like a sport bucket seat. And of course, again, red being the sporty accent color of choice, we get lots of red contrasting stitching. Coming around inside, so all of the boxiness outside reverts to a lot of curves here on the inside, whether it be that curved look around the dash up here that goes from door to door, or just all of the curves found in the AC vents and on the steering wheel, and this IP for the infotainment. Everything is very curvaceous in here. I'm going to go ahead and put my foot on the brake and push the engine start button and let this thing fire up. You know, if you've been in any modern Kia, purple really is their color of choice. You can see it here on the infotainment. You can see it here in the digital gauge cluster. This is a fully digital gauge cluster, but the two outside parts of the screen over here are digital in the same way your $10 Casio watch from Walmart is. There really isn't a lot of customization to the outside, whereas if you look really closely, there is an inside screen here that is customizable and can tell you a bunch of different information. There is a drive mode button right here that I will show you. It does the only little bit of changing to the screen, and that changes it to a reddish hue to let you know that you are in sport mode. But those are your only two drive modes. And then you've got this button here to page through some of the different information in your center display. This does have radar adaptive cruise control. I showed you the sensor for that earlier, and some lane keeping. So that is a nice touch. Again, we get a lot of red accented stitching all the way around in this. It is very nice. Let's go ahead and start over my left knee and work our way across. We've got our brightness controls for our screens inside, traction control off, engine start and stop off, and then your parking button that reveals your rear only camera in this one. That is government mandated, but you do get trajectory, which I really like. That is a nice touch. And coming back out, go ahead and push that. We do get a flat bottom steering wheel because it is a GT line, which is really nice. It is leather wrapped. It is firm but sporty, and I really like it. It works very well. Again, we get all of our typical Kia controls here on the steering wheel. Back behind it, you can see we get our light controls over here. We get our wiper controls over here. Nothing out of the norm there. This center kind of oval-like section houses your center air vents and all your physical buttons for your radio controls right here. We get a 10.25 inch touchscreen right here with wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Unfortunately, it is a USB-A port that is wired for it. You do get USB-C in here for power only, but if you want to use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, you're going to be plugging up USB-A. We get a Qi wireless charger here, a la Kia Seltos on this tray, and then we get a cigarette-style outlet down here as well. A little bit extra storage as well. Much like that Kia Seltos, we also get the sound mood lamp that kind of gives you a rave mode if you want it, or you can set it just to glow and choose a bunch of different colors to actually show off in here at night. I actually have not had enough time in this one at night. I've been in LA for the LA Auto Show. Holly has spent more time in this, so you'll definitely want to hear her thoughts on what do they call it? The sound mood lamp here. Otherwise, very typical Kia infotainment, very responsive. Dual zone climate controls, that's one up on the Chevy Trax. Chevy Trax only gets single zone, so that is a nice touch and is a welcome luxury here in the Kia Soul. We get heated front seats. They're two-stage, and like I said, with the cloth here and the bolstering, these really are like a nice warm hug. Olaf would be proud. We get a mechanical selector here for that intelligent variable transmission. I'm not in love with the fact that it is a CVT, but we'll talk more about that when we're driving. Electronic parking brake, auto hold, and some interesting storage here that you can see. Again, I've been out of town. Holly's moved in, so we've got a couple cup holders here. Luckily, they do have little grippers here, so you don't have just a bottle flapping around, and then a little bit of extra storage here and in here. So I'm guessing lower trims do get a handbrake, a proper handbrake, because all of this, including this little obtrusion right here, lets me know that there's probably an actual handbrake in some model, but otherwise this feels very Kia Seltos to me. Coming around to me, we do have a standard size sunroof in this one, but it really doesn't matter. The overall boxy size of this means there is tons of interior space in here. Really like that a lot. I can get very comfortable. And one last thing on the steering wheel, we do have a tilt and telescoping steering wheel. So multiple ways to get comfortable up here, and a little bit of storage everywhere you look. But yeah, that's enough for this front seat. Why don't we climb back there in the back seat and see how much room is back there for rear passengers. All right, coming to the back door, there is no entry button here on this one, so you have to unlock it from the front doors. You can see they open up nice and wide and give you a nice entry point to the back seats. You can see we still get the red accents back here in the back, which is a nice touch. And you know, Tucker really liked that a whole lot. It matches his car seat. So very, very color coordinated here in the Kia Soul GT line. Coming in and sitting behind myself at 5'10", you can see I've got plenty of room behind myself. Hard plastic seat here, no map pocket on the back of that seat, but we do have a map pocket on the back of the passenger seat. Given that Tucker still is in a car seat, that kind of hampers his legroom overall. So you can see just how far forward I was riding yesterday when Holly and I filmed our family review with Tucker back here, just so he had some room. But you can see this is where I normally sit, and it is nice and comfy. No air vents on the back of the center console, which is a little sad and disappointing, but we get 2 USB C ports back here for additional power. We also get a fold down center armrest with a couple cup holders that does not impede having a child seat over here. So that's nice. So you do get a third seat belt that hides very nicely back here. I don't know that you would want to put 3 adults back here, but 2 can ride very comfortably. I've got plenty of headroom. It's nice and roomy back here, but overall, this is a slightly smaller vehicle than I think our family of 3 would appreciate, but absolutely hit that subscribe button so you see our family review when it drops later this week. That's enough of the tour of it. Let's hop back behind the steering wheel and see how this GT line performs and see if there's any more Porsche 911 DNA in this. There's not. All right, getting in, setting off, putting it in sport drive mode because yes. I joked just a second ago about any more Porsche-like characteristics in this GT line model. There aren't any. We have a little naturally aspirated 4-cylinder under the hood and front-wheel drive in a box of an economy vehicle, but let's see what this thing can do when we accelerate. Come to a full stop, brake fully down, press gas, and drop the brake. Okay. So the intelligent variable transmission is not the wet blanket that it can be in some other vehicles. We've experienced the Honda, what is it, HR-V, which also competes in this class. It too has a continuously variable transmission, and that zapped all the fun out of that vehicle's driving dynamics. This one, at least in sport mode under hard acceleration, you can kind of feel it shift and go through the gears. There aren't gears, but you do get a sport mode where you can plus and minus. So yeah, there are, but there aren't. It makes for a more fun driving dynamic than something you would normally expect from, well, a CVT. And the powertrain in this, it's good, it's decent. This is not a race car. This is not a performance vehicle, even if it does wear those 2 coveted letters here on the steering wheel and on that back hatch, GT, which kind of used to mean something, but now has just become synonymous with the sporty trim, red accents and the like. GT line in Kia speak means you get the appearance, but not the performance. You have to get full-on GT models to get the performance. That being said, this is still a fun vehicle. In my short time with it, again, Holly's had more time than I have because I've been in LA, but in my short time with it, I've been pleasantly surprised. I've not been overly critical of the transmission. The power seems ample, and it all seems ready to give it to you when you want it. So, like, if I need to get going, I can just mash the gas and we get going. So there's not a whole lot of thinking going on when it comes to making this thing move faster. It is rather nice. Rev that little engine. Let's go! Turn in is good. These Hankook tires are doing the best. Hold on, that's for sure. This is a fun little package. The CVT, like I said, is not the wet blanket that it could have been, which on paper, I typically kind of poo-poo them as soon as I see that that is the transmission of choice. But overall, I like the package. It works. And here on my favorite back roads, here in East Texas, it's fun to drive. It puts a smile on your face. And then looking at it from the outside, that too puts a smile on your face. Yeah, if you can't tell just by the grin on my face, it's a fun little car to drive sportingly down a curvy back road. And getting in here, I feel less 911 and more Mini Cooper. My wife had a 2010, I believe, Mini Cooper when we first got together. And that's kind of what this feels like. All the whimsy in here, all the roundness, all the cutesy things, feels very much Mini Cooper. And that too is another vehicle with a very iconic style that can't veer too far from it. So maybe I should have made that reference instead of a 911. Anyway, it's a fun vehicle in here. It also feels a little bit like that Mini Cooper when it comes to the ride. It is a little on the stiff side. You can kind of see we're bouncing along here on this country road. But it's not harsh, but it's about what you would expect from a vehicle with, as this one sits, $27,220 price tag. So going back to Chevy Trax, this really does line up well with the 2RS top trim or even the active trim of that vehicle. And as much as I like the Chevy Trax with its fun, unique, new styling for the brand, I think this is a very compelling package as well. That has been around a little bit longer than the 1.2 liter 3-cylinder found in that Chevy Trax, and has a better overall warranty, 10-year, 100,000 mile warranty from the Kia manufacturer of this soul. I don't know why I said that so weird, but yes, better powertrain, been around a little bit longer, and has a little more iconic style to it than does that Chevy Trax. But I am very interested and very pleased with that Chevy Trax. One last thing I've found out about this vehicle since we've had it, and it's been raining today, I put the windshield washer fluid on, and I get this little notification here that it blocks outside air from coming in so that I don't smell the odor of the windshield wiper fluid. Very interesting, just kind of thoughtful call to action there from Kia. Very interesting touch, and I wonder how many vehicles actually do that without telling you that they do that. Anywho, that is it from me behind the wheel of the 2023 Kia Soul GT line. Absolutely go check out my friend Texas Truck Channel's video where they find the hidden R mode for off-roading in this thing. Go find us on all social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube. Everything is at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to gtgaragetalk.com. But as for me, here in the Kia Soul GT line, until next time, gearheads, bye. Let's go!